Hi everybody. In previous video, when building this octopus model, we ran into issue where different parts of support structures and some of the loops would essentially fuse with the model and create some problems for us. So I want to go back a little bit just on that model and show something that's not specific to our pipeline or photometry, but more related to how you deal with that stuff in reality capture. So it's more related to actually photogrammetry than anything else, and that would be just another way to deal with more complex cases. So essentially what we want to do, we want to build masks when for all these separate loops here in our model, and there are a few different ways to do it. In this case, we already have all the cameras registered and everything pretty much ready to go. Just all we need to do is to build these loops separately, build geometries for them separately, and then mask out the things that we don't want to have in the final model, and then essentially re-import all that stuff again and build those models using those masks. So in that case, one way to do it, again, I'm pretty sure there are multiple ways to do it, but one way to do it is to select this loop 2 and 3, and it's nice because we have already them separated. We have those indices in there, and in here under properties, enable meshing and disable it. So right now you see that there is that exclude from meshing thing appears, and if we go ahead now and build this model with normal detail, we will there you go. So in this case, let's scroll down, and just so that we know what it is, it's loop 1, and obviously whatever that thing on top is, we don't want that to be there, so we go to tools and filter that out, try and rotate. Okay, so that will go away. Let me hide this grid, and also hide those marker names, and also let's cut out the bottom of this mesh as well, something like that. So at this point we go and say filter selection, so those parts would be removed. This is our new model. Let's now call this one loop 1, and now we want to go and export mask and make sure that we have just these images selected. Mesh clean, no, where was that? Export depth and mask. Let's export all that into our original directory. Select folder, yes, and then here we don't need to export any camera depths, so make sure it's no there, and export mesh masks is set to yes, and that all should be good. Click OK. And now in this folder next to our original images we should have something that that would be a mask. It's a PNG file, so it's essentially the same file name .mask.png. And if we switch between these, we can see that essentially that bottom part is removed, and we have the top, a bit of the top removed, but this is what it is. Now we have to do pretty much the same for other two loops. In that case, yes, nothing, just those were exported. Now let's go ahead and enable meshing for loop number 2. Enable meshing, yes, enable, and disable meshing for loop number 1. Disable, done, and go ahead and now build this model. So there you go, the second loop is reconstructed. We can see that definitely we don't want this part here, so I'm trying to align it so it's easy to cut it off. And with this tool we just go ahead and with some extra overlap make sure that all that is gone. Let's just turn around a little bit, make sure that we did not miss anything. Maybe let me cut a little bit more of that stuff. What's that thing? Is it just the rendering thing, or it doesn't want to select it? It's probably rendering. But there you go, that's pretty good. Filter selection. So all that stuff is removed. Great. Let's rename it to loop 2. Done. Select cameras or images for loop 2 and do the same stuff. Export depth and mask. Use the same folder. Everything is the same. Okay. Make sure that all these masks are generated as well. Something is happening. Let me zoom it a little bit like that so we can see that everything is aligned here, and we have our masks for loop number 2 as well. That's done. Let's go back to reality capture and do the final loop. So let's disable meshing for loop number 2 and enable meshing for loop number 3. Enabled. Good. Let's go and build it. And third loop is finished, and as you can see, there's definitely quite a bit of interference, especially with this other thing that we had to put there to make sure we could scan this object reliably. Anyway, the set of actions is the same. We just go ahead, select stuff that we don't need in here, and cut it out. And if we cut a bit more, that's fine. Essentially, that data would be used from other shots, so it's okay that there is a bit of overlap and we select a little bit more than what's needed. So that's good. That looks good. So we now need to take care of just this part, and that would be it. So that's great. That's definitely all there is. Hit filter. That looks good. Let's delete the original one, rename this to loop 3 so we know what that is. Now select our loop 3 cameras or images and go ahead and export those masks as well. Okay, let's make sure that we got everything in here. It's still working. So there you go, we got all our masks in here along with images. So at this point all this could be imported back into Reality Capture, and we can make sure in that case that these masks are only used for meshing but not for alignment. Why? Because we still want to have our support structures like this box, and not only this one but all other boxes as well for alignment. So we don't want to apply these masks just to everything. Otherwise this prop might work, but the whole idea of those auxiliary things in the scene is to help with that alignment and to get more robust camera alignment overall. So in this case, let me re-enable all other stuff, and I'm going to demonstrate, so we'll open another version of Reality Capture and re-import enable meshing, and I'll save this one, but I'm going to re-import all that stuff so that we can compare the results. So whatever we built before, that was preview, that was one method, and that was method number 2, I believe. Yeah, where we had some that fusion happening here. So in method number 1 it was even worse. So right now let me go ahead and in another version sort of do pretty much everything similar, but now the difference is that we have those masks. So we open another version of Reality Capture. Now let's select all these images, let's import them. When we're clicking on images again as before, let's make sure that all calibration and lens groups are correct. And one thing that you see here now is that we have this mask layer and the stuff that I talked about. Let's select everything and make sure that where was that? How to use masking layer both in alignment and meshing, and we don't want that. We only want to set it only in meshing so that we still get advantage of those other helpers for alignment process, but exclude that in here. So that's great. We have that step. Let's do all the usual stuff we did before with marker detection. Let's detect markers. Done. Great. Let's import ground control points for that main box. Done. Now let's run the alignment process. So there you have it. We got our model. Not yet. We got our scene. Let's make sure that all cameras look good there, and everything seems to be good. So, and now preview mesh is not going to be any good, but in mesh settings, let's make sure we have version 2 of the depth map algorithm, and let's actually go ahead and build it. There you have it. So we have our model, same 10 million polygon, but now this time let's hide all that stuff, all those extra points in our grid, and what we see, we don't have any fusion, and we have perfectly clean model with what's possible with this kind of data. So let's just go and go ahead and save it. We call it RC2 masked. Obviously in this case all the registration information is different, so essentially we have to go and re-export everything and redo all that stuff with low poly and so on, but we'll have a much cleaner and more reliable model this way. We can go ahead and close that instance just as a try, because I have not tried it in this version yet. Let's go ahead and try to re-import these masks into the existing project. I'm not sure if that will work. If we go to workflow and inputs, and let's sort just PNGs, and let's select all these PNGs in here, click open, and see if it will recognize them. And as you can see, yes indeed, for all these for all these images we have this mask layer, and it has proper masks assigned to them. However, now let me try to do the same stuff where we select all images, and how to use masking layer, change it to only in meshing, and try building it again. In previous versions I had issues with that. Let's see if it's fixed, maybe, or maybe I'm doing something wrong, one or the other. Let's go to meshing, settings. Let's see what algorithm do we use. Version 2. Good. So the moment of truth, I'm going to save it, and let's go ahead and build. And if those issues are fixed, then we should have all that stuff that we currently see on screen around this model disappear. Or not. We'll see. And as you can see, it did not work. We did have that was before, that's new one, that's new one, that's before, that's new one, and it completely ignored our masking, even though for each image the mask layer is set up and everything is set up here. So one thing that we could try, and honestly I don't know why it does that to me. It looks like a bug that's been there for forever. Definitely I've seen it half a year ago, maybe even more than a year ago. But one thing, in case if there's some caching going on between different algorithms, let's just try one last thing and see if that would make any difference. Let's go to mesh settings and select algorithm version number 1. Maybe something got cached there for the previous algorithm, so when we change to 1, maybe it will invalidate all the caches and maybe it will decide to use these masks. So let's try that. And if that doesn't work, then honestly I don't know. Well, it looks like a bug in Reality Capture. Okay, let's go ahead. And as you can see, nothing. So that's I call it a bug because the same essentially we've done it on a new project and everything was great there, and all this stuff looked the same as it does here, but for some reason it just doesn't want to do it. I don't know why. Probably one last thing before we go, what we could try is to relaunch Reality Capture, relaunch the same project, and try to build it again and see if that makes any difference. But at this point, I seriously doubt it that it will do anything, because it honestly, it looks like a bug, because mask layer is set and only using meshing, and settings are legit, and nothing. So there you have it. You have to talk to developers of Reality Capture, and this looks like a bug 100% on their side, because basically if masks are imported like after some point, then they do nothing. Like in this case, they really do nothing during geometry construction. So I'll leave it here. We looked at this pipeline with masking when building clean meshes, and I hope that helps, and I'll see you in the next video.